Like if you had to say someone is motivated, what does that actually look like?
I guess movement, forward movement. And what I mean by that is, literally or figuratively, just movement creates motivation, I feel like, whether that's marking off or accomplishing some small goals or successes, but even actual physical movement, like standing, kind of moving around, like walking, even the equation of taking baby steps or, crawling before you walk. Like, I think all of those things, just forward movement, for me is motivating and motivation.
You could actually see motivation happening.
Mm.
And whether it's, checking off my to-do list or just getting up and going for a run. I know, you're a runner too. And like after kind of continuous running, I feel like I'm just more motivated and patting myself on the back after a good run. So how do you help people find their motivation? Even when I'm actually running for real, like sometimes I'm like, oh, I'm kind of tired, or I got to go do something else. And so I start losing it. And it's this mental battle that I have to fight to get through that hump. And so I think a lot of people, after a period of time, just end up being okay sitting in that on that hump, or not trying to push through that, where you just feel so much better if you do.
I guess for me, it just goes back to kind of inspiration and influence, and I think about, we can't make other people do things. I mean, you can force people to do something, like, even if someone signs up to be in the military and they're doing PT at 5 a.m. and they're running, like, they have the option of quitting. Like, they have the option of just going home. It's like, what motivates them, what keeps them coming back every day. And I think it goes back to what I was saying about influence and inspiration, and I guess even for me, I try not to preach to other people what they should be doing, but I guess I try to model and inspire other people to have that spark to kind of get up and go and do.
That time, I was actually interviewing a few other leaders, and I would say every accomplished leader makes the time to reflect. And I would say that a lot of people that haven't made it that far say they don't have time to reflect. People are actually making time to reflect because there's a good payoff when you do. So I'm curious, how do you actually inspire other people or stay inspired when you don't make the time to know what's going to inspire you?
Things like journaling, even Twitter. I think, for me, like, Twitter is a micro blogging tool that I use to reflect. Like, a lot of my tweets are reflections. And so I think if people, even if they carve out 2 minutes or 3 minutes just to think through, how did that go? What might I change? How might they look if I make some adjustments? I think even just the smallest steps in reflection can have big dividends. You think about right now, like, mental health is always a huge priority. Prioritizing counseling, even in our work with coaching conversations, like, just scheduling those times. And we alluded to this earlier, like, even when you and I had that conversation where I was just kind of at a place where I was losing steam, like, just those few minutes that we spent kind of talking and processing, like, really helped me. I mean, I am a naturally reflective person, but I think ways that people can build those things in are, check-ins from friends, check-ins from family, check-ins from people who are accountability partners. Like, those types of things sometimes can help, force people to be a little bit more reflective and spend some time processing on ways that they can improve or get going.
Using Twitter as a way to reflect and microblogging. And I thought that was an interesting comment because I think when I first started going on social media, I was trying to guess what I should post, like, because you were trying to figure out like what people wanted to hear or what they would like. And then once you find yourself on social media, you're just posting what you're thinking about. And it's much easier when you're posting things that you care about and aren't really as concerned about how many likes or views you get, and those will come as you do it consistently. So I think that it's interesting that you've been able to shift some of your own reflection time to social media so that it has like a double whammy where you're able to reflect and also able to reach and inspire others. Frequently, I hear from other leaders that they do journaling or reflection, and I think you're the first person I've heard that uses social media to kind of accomplish both, where you're journaling and trying to inspire others. And so I'd love for you to talk about that a little bit.
When I was in high school, I always kept a journal. Again, I've always been a reflective person. And so the social media aspect for me, the microblogging is a way to kind of pull back the curtain and just share, after finding my voice, being able to share kind of who I am in hopes of inspiring others, but also me being able to track and go back and find and search things that I might have been thinking about 2 years ago or 3 years ago. Um, even to keep myself in check. I often refer to my blogs or my tweets being a spoonful of medicine that I need. Like half of the time, the things that I'm saying are things that I know I need to hear. And that goes back to what I was saying about positive self-talk. Like many of the things that I'm saying are things that I just need to say out loud or get off my chest for me to help hold myself accountable. And that's happened. I mean, I have tweeted things and people in my circle, and I may not have done something contradictory of what I tweeted, and somebody will call me out, and I'm like, that's the accountability that I need. So Twitter is twofold. It's reflective for me, but it's also, I'm hoping to say things that resonate with people that might help them, become better people or become better versions of themselves.
How has motivation or the triggers for motivation changed since we've gone into the remote work environment? Because I do think there has been differences in terms of the way I think about it, but I can't decide if it's better or worse in some ways. But it is definitely less. I don't know. I guess everything feels online basically, which I mean we are, but even more so than before. It's just like you kind of have to get all your motivations. Either it's so binary now. It's either you get your motivation online or you get it completely offline because you don't want to be online anymore.
We have to get creative in staying connected to the things that energize us. And I guess what I mean by that is, even checking in with family. For me, normally I see family maybe 3 times a year, with maybe potentially birthdays, like extended family, Thanksgiving, Christmas, and we have had these every other week like Zoom check-ins. And so me recognizing that I'm energized from people, and the people that I work with energize me in a certain way, but there are times that I need others, like college friends or personal friends, and being creative in a sense of using some of these same tools and platforms to connect with people that we don't normally connect with or don't connect with as much as we would like to, is one way that can help. I also think just staying connected to your why, and I mentioned this earlier, like our personal reasons for doing things and staying motivated, can help us. And the more that we can stay connected to our reason behind something and not let a routine kind of weigh us down. It is perseverance in a sense of, the first 3 weeks of working remotely were rough for me. And I think once I began to kind of get my legs about me and begin to kind of settle and begin to get used to somewhat of a routine, I could begin to kind of carve out and navigate the things that I knew I wanted to be able to do. So just not getting stuck to a routine and being creative in ways that we're connecting to the things and people that help keep us energized and motivated.
I know for me on this particular topic, and it's probably the same for you. You're probably online for 8, 10, 12 hours straight, and it's dense between meetings, being on social media. Definitely by the end of the day, the last thing I want to do is look at my phone. But I've gotten so used to looking at my phone and my computer, I don't know what to do when I'm not. And so things like running provide me with a way where it's like kind of like a flushing activity of being online. What other ways have you been able to either flush your online presence so that you could recalibrate and reset? Because I know you tweet a lot. In addition, you're making videos these days, and you're providing training online. So there's a lot of stuff going on right now.
Yeah, it is. I think one thing that you mentioned, just exercise. I think just unplugging, and the extent of technology being maybe music that's playing, like that, those help keep me motivated and grounded. I think another thing too, just like a full on unplug or disconnect. I took a nap the other day, and I took off my Apple Watch. I put my phone in the other room, and it was probably the best hour and a half of sleep that I've had in 6 weeks. So I think just, even the fact that I use my phone as my alarm clock, I think just, I probably need to ditch it and just go old school with a digital alarm clock that doesn't have Wi-Fi on it. So I think just finding those times to just completely unplug, it's just like going on vacation for me. I think.
We expect other people or our surroundings to motivate us. But what you talked about is there's some ways to build internal motivation. I mean, of course, you could rely on people around you and in organizations, but how do you get out of that? Sometimes that bottom that people might feel, because I definitely feel it too, and I have to really focus and say I don't want to stay in that zone to push myself out of it. It reminds me of like being in that learning pit where you're just kind of like floundering at the bottom, and you have to climb out of it to reach the next level. And once you do, you could go for
Yeah.
a while.
I think we need to